Welcome back to the battles between Lucifer Morningstar versus Rune King Thor and who will win. Before we dive deep into the analysis, please remember to subscribe to the channel to support me. Thank you very much.
Lucifer Morningstar is regarded as one of the most powerful entities in existence, second only to his twin brother Michael, and still beneath the absolute authority of their father, the God of the Covenant. Even before the multiverse began to take shape, Yahweh created the first two beings, like two aspects of the same divine essence, and granted them powers fundamental to existence itself. Michael was given the power of creation, along with pure divine strength. He was the source of the universe's birth from nothingness, bringing order and form to where nothing had existed. However, despite possessing limitless power, Michael could not directly shape or control what he had created. Samael, later known as Lucifer, was granted will and the flame of freedom. He could not create from nothing, but he had the ability to transform anything that already existed into any form he desired. Lucifer is the embodiment of God's infinite will, the one who breathed soul and purpose into the universe born from Michael. Samael, later known as Lucifer, was granted will and the flame of freedom. He could not create from nothing, but he had the ability to transform anything that already existed into any form he desired. Lucifer is the embodiment of God's infinite will, the one who breathed soul and purpose into the universe born from Michael. Together, Michael and Lucifer laid the foundation for all reality. One brought the universe into existence, the other infused it with meaning. In that role, Lucifer is not merely the fallen one, but also the symbol of freedom, will, and the desire to transcend every law established by God himself. Lucifer carried out an act that shook all of reality when he directly destroyed the image of God in that realm. As the embodiment of absolute will, Lucifer has the capacity to break every limit, just as he once destroyed the box that imprisoned the Basanos, a creation thought to be untouchable. Lucifer has existed since an era more ancient than the angel of death, bearing memories of ages when even death had not yet been defined. When he opened the door into the void, he was no longer an angel of heaven, nor the ruler of hell. He returned to his original essence as Lucifer Morningstar, the first name granted to him by God. Lucifer created the gate leading to the void of Nilo, where destruction could erase even creation itself. Before that, he ruled hell for 10 billion years, not as a chaotic tyrant, but as an absolute and cold king. Before abandoning the throne, Lucifer expelled all demons and damned souls, sealed the gates of hell, and handed the key of power to dream of the endless. By nature, Lucifer is a ruthless and calculating entity who places little value on life except for those who still serve a purpose. He is the proud fallen angel, carrying deep resentment and wielding power second only to Yahweh. Despite his fall, Lucifer is still considered the wisest, most beautiful, and most powerful angel ever to exist. Lucifer possesses the ability to manipulate all forces that exist outside himself, turning them into instruments to achieve any outcome he desires. Every natural law can be bent, every limitation can be rewritten according to his choice. However, despite power that is nearly omnipotent, Lucifer cannot create something from nothing by himself. To reach the act of creation, he requires the demiurgic power of his brother Michael, and later his niece Elaine, who inherited that creative force. Lucifer can also manipulate the flow of time. When participating in the formation of the multiverse, he accelerated time to an unimaginable degree to shorten the moment of creation. Lucifer's will allows him to divide a single spatial gateway into millions of others, connecting across the multiverse to the world he created. Lucifer can even enter the mind of a human being on the verge of death, crossing the boundary between consciousness and the void. He has flown to the very edge of creation, where the source resides, as a declaration that there is no ultimate boundary his will cannot reach. Lucifer can use magic for many different purposes. He can place a spell upon a spatial gateway so that it will destroy the remainder of creation if it is closed. He has also demonstrated skill in blood magic. One spell allowed Lucifer to break the power of the Basanos by using his blood and the blood of Mazikeen. Lucifer also used Mazikeen's blood to create a doorway out of an abstract dimension.
Please remember to subscribe to the channel and press the bell icon to enable notifications so you can watch the earliest videos. Thank you very much.
Now we will speak about Rune King Thor. Rune King Thor is not only the god of thunder of Asgard, but also one of the greatest guardians ever to stand on the side of Earth. When he attained the Rune King state, Thor ascended to an entirely different level of existence, where physical power, intellect, and magic merged into an almost perfect being. In this form, he was no longer merely a warrior wielding Mjolnir, but the bearer of ancient knowledge far beyond that of any god. By fully mastering the runes and rune magic, Rune King Thor reached a level of awareness that was nearly omniscient. He could observe the past, present, and future simultaneously, not as separate timelines, but as a unified whole that could be influenced and guided. This ability placed Thor beyond many of the limits that once bound the gods of Asgard. The power of Rune King Thor was clearly demonstrated in battle. With a single strike, he defeated Mangog, the supreme divine entity who had once overcome Odin, something previously thought almost impossible. Soon after, Loki, in his supreme god state, empowered by Mangog himself, was also defeated by Thor in an overwhelming manner, leaving no opportunity for resistance. Rune King Thor further displayed reality manipulation at the highest level when he tore apart the fabric of existence to open a path for Surtur to enter Valhalla, a realm nearly inaccessible by any conventional means. He also defeated the beings who dwell in the shadows above, mysterious entities that may belong to a transcendent tier. To Rune King Thor, barriers of dimension or levels of existence no longer held meaning. Rune King Thor could transport Beta Ray Bill to a distant galaxy in an instant while maintaining telepathic communication with him, despite the almost infinite spatial distance. For Rune King Thor, space was no longer a barrier, but merely a concept that could be bent according to his will. With a single attack, Rune King Thor indirectly destroyed Yggdrasil, along with those who sit above in shadow, permanently ending the cycle of Ragnarok. That act was not merely a victory, but the breaking of a destiny that had bound the gods through countless ages of creation and destruction. Rune King Thor stands at least equal to the Celestials and even certain abstract entities. Only beings at the absolute pinnacle, such as the One Above All, Molecule Man, or Oblivion, truly stand above him. This explains why even Odin in the past recognized the terrifying truth of the endless cycle of life and death. Yet ancient intuitions whispered that greater forces stood behind it all, silently exploiting that very cycle. No god could truly escape death unless they embraced the ultimate sacrifice, something even Odin was unable to accomplish. Rune King Thor is the one who achieved what other gods only dared to dream of, rising against fate and ending a cycle of existence that had endured since the dawn of time. You see, supreme wisdom is a sacrifice, but performing it within the sacred waters of Mimir is not simply an attainment. The well itself is the process, and wisdom must reside within through many rituals and sacrifices. This wisdom cannot be seen, which is why the act of plucking out the eye is significant, because one does not necessarily need sight to know more. Yet to know more, one must look inward and make these sacrifices in order to gain power. To achieve the ultimate sacrifice, he had to walk a path no one had ever walked. Odin never fully completed it because he could not accomplish it alone, and thus he created his own path as the All-Father. But Thor knew what he had to do to go one step further when he plucked out both of his eyes. Thor attained supreme wisdom, allowing him to see the past, control the present, and guide the future. He understood that every form of life that had ever existed would eventually return to death, and the cycle would continue. But something was wrong with that cycle, and thus Thor now knew the secret behind Ragnarok. Honestly, although Rune King Thor is always regarded as one of the greatest forms of the god of thunder, many believe that Rune King Thor reached a level that is nearly omnipotent, comparable to God Doom or Lucifer Morningstar. However, the disparity begins to become clear. Thor's power, though far beyond that of ordinary gods, is still not enough to confront entities that are nearly omnipotent at an absolute level. God Doom possesses the power of the entire Beyonder race, while Lucifer is one of the most powerful archangels ever to exist. This fundamental difference in the nature of their power is what forces Thor to halt. This is not a day of victory for the god of thunder. When compared directly, Lucifer Morningstar claims an overwhelming victory, with odds as high as 8 out of 10, simply because Lucifer exists on an entirely different tier compared to Thor. Lucifer is completely different. From the very beginning, Lucifer existed in a state that was nearly omnipotent, and more importantly, he fully understood how to wield that power. Lucifer's strength has no visible limitation unless it reaches the threshold of absolute omnipotence, and stripping or weakening him is almost impossible. That alone reflects the terrifying magnitude of the Morningstar. Against Rune King Thor, Lucifer not only surpasses him in the very nature of power, but also possesses cold intellect, manipulation, and a profound understanding of his opponent's essence. From raw strength and experience to mastery over his own abilities, the outcome is almost impossible to overturn. Rune King Thor is magnificent, but Lucifer Morningstar exists on a higher plane of being. Rune King Thor also has the ability to manipulate matter, energy, and souls, bending the structure of reality according to his own will. The peak of that power was demonstrated when he defeated those who sit above in shadow, entities once described as gods of the gods, and later revealed by Loki to be the Beyonders. Even Odin was powerless before them. Yet Rune King Thor severed the threads of fate, stripped away their source of power, and essentially ended their existence. However, when Rune King Thor stands face to face with Lucifer Morningstar, the conclusion becomes clear. As an archangel, Lucifer exists at a level of power far beyond divine limitations. He is not only stronger than transcendent angels, but also represents a plane of existence where power, will, and essence are almost unified as one, rendering any resistance meaningless. Lucifer wins with certainty 10 out of 10 times.
What do you think about this battle? Please let me know your thoughts in the comments section. Thank you all very much.